January of the new year 2024. Fresh hell is coming. Fresh hell is on the horizon. Fresh hell is in the rearview mirror. And unfortunately, when we're talking about the leader of the church and the world, Pope Francis, all we have to talk about is more hellish stuff, specifically communism, perverts, who are the number 2 in the church, and his minions, and hell itself. Pope Francis recently has even doubted the reality of hell. We talked about this till we were blue in the face. It's called the Bishop Robert Barron Origenism game. Pope Francis, we'll talk about this when we get into the show, used touch and go language. He curated his language. He said, look, I just hope that hell is empty. But hope always has to be reasonable. It would be one thing if he'd said wish. He'd said hope. So we're going to talk about the distinction there. Tacho Fernandez has made a few statements since I came to you last. The most important one being the confirmation that he, Tacho, knows that Francis knew about his orgasm book. I'm sorry to say that and be gross, people, but that's what we get from the church now. It's smutty. Before he, Francis, made Tacho the number 2, the doctrinal chief in the church. That's new. We'll talk about that a little bit. And Francis has reaffirmed communism and specifically Marxism the way he likes to do it. So there's a lot to talk about and to give a gloss to. I know this isn't all the brand newest stuff on the block, but and sometimes I'll do a show and I'll try to be the first one out. If it's something that res ipsa loquitur, the story kind of speaks itself and I just give a little bit of gloss. These stories I wanted to prepare a bit and cogitate on a bit, and then I can consistently give you the best of the most novel take. And that's what today's show is going to be. But first, I want to tell you that we do need your help. If you like this show, Rules for Retrogrades, it's growing. We're going to probably add a call-in feature to the show here in 2024, and we hope to do so for our show celebrating 50,000 subscribers. That show should be within the month. We're going to make it possible for you guys to call in and really ask us anything that's not completely overboard. It's going to be a lot of fun. So the 50,000 subscribers show reminds you, you need to, if you want to support the show, Locals and Subscribe Star, we need 10 or 20 bucks a month from you if you like watching this show. We need you to subscribe and like the video. Go click like, click subscribe, click the notification bell. And if you want to help the show out, 5, 10, 20 bucks a month on Locals or Subscribe Star, we still haven't made up, as far as I know, all the cash from Patreon when we refuse to compromise. This is a one-of-a-kind show. There's no one else out there saying the mixture, speaking into existence, a show that is equal parts culture and equal parts ecclesiology. And that's what you come here for, parish orphans and retrogrades. So help us out so we can continue to help you out in 2024. We really need it. Locals and Subscribe Star are the way to do it. We're about to cross 50,000. That's a big milestone for a show like this that panders to nobody. That panders to nobody, this show. We took on women, the biggest group of demographic viewers on the internet. We've taken on every group within the church, outside of the church, been fired, kicked off of this platform, that platform, real jobs in real life. But we march on. The 4 books, the 4 pillars of this channel are something that at this point you know and love. And that's what you're here for. And we appreciate you. That 50,000 subscriber show is going to be dope. Also, if you want to support yourself, go to realestateforlife.org and get out of your blue state, get to a red state today. It's the safest place you could possibly be in an election year. After that, it's the safest place you could possibly be in the middle 2020s, as Agenda 2030 is pushing the danger closer to your front door. You can move your front door a little bit. The American Southeast, the blood red swath of states from Texas to Florida is the place to go. realestateforlife.org represents the place to go, the people that will help you most. What a world. So about 4 days ago, in breaking news, this was reported by my friend Dr. Micah Hickson, Vatican official says St. Peters Basilica will bless Homo sapien couples. It's a little bit like, to borrow my friend Nick's analogy, the difference between it being legal for, I don't know, contraception to happen in one state versus contraception being like given out free in Washington, D.C. That means something important procedurally. Like if just contraception is illegal in most states, as it was in the United States before Griswold versus Connecticut, then in 1965, it was illegal in most states. Guess what? The nationalists made it illegal for states to illegalize contraception in 1965. A case called Griswold versus Connecticut. Well, that's one thing. We were a mostly anti-contraception country before 1965, where most states said you can't have or sell or use contraception here. A couple states had it legal. It was a state-by-state issue. You'd say America's pretty much an anti-contraception place. But after that, no states can illegalize it, and in Washington, D.C., it would be like they're giving out free contraception, which is essentially what they do in the schools, at the colleges. That's a big difference. Well, that's what it's like to bless Homo sapien couples at St. Peter's Basilica. That proves what was meant by fiducia supplicans. If they just said, hey, there's no real change, sinners could always be blessed, there's no change here, which is the precise opposite of what the document said. The document said this is making a change. And if there's no change and people like Father James Martin S.J., the naughty pet, were just exploiting that, then they wouldn't be blessing Homo sapien couples in St. Peter's. You see? But they are. And I've said this on Twitter. Pope-splainers, please show me any account. This is about Tacho in general. We got to talk about Tacho Fernandez, our doctrinal chief, our number 2 in the church now. Please show me, Pope-splainers, any account in Orthodox mystical theology which you likened Tacho Fernandez's orgasm book to, with like underage prawn, between our Lord and a teenager having a sexual encounter with the Virgin Mary looking on, approving, blessing it. If that's not prawn, if that's not child prawn, desecrating the holy face of our Lord, but it's just Orthodox mythical theology, then show me any theologian that we consider Orthodox who depicted Jesus committing sexual sin with a layperson. I'll wait. I'll wait for that. I'll wait for that. Because remember, in chapter 6 of Tacho's book, since we're covering the perverts that Francis has chosen to make his lieutenants and his friends, in chapter 6 of the satanic 1998 book on orgasms by Tacho Fernandez, he spins a semi-fictional prawn sexual fantasy about an underage girl and our Lord Jesus with Our Lady watching and approving, just to make my joke or my reference crystal clear to you. Without having read the text now of chapter 6 in that orgasm book. Remember, they say without having read the text, many brainwashed idiots are defending this prawn by denying that the scene exists. And I've read it myself. I've read it with my own eyes. What's the deal with that? Have you read the text? If people defend the Tacho Fernandez book, say, have you read it cover to cover? Ask them that. Okay, now the breaking news the day after that was 4 days ago. Some of the couple stories I just mentioned. The day after that, because it's been a while since you've seen Rules for Retrogrades episode, Cardinal Victor Manuel Fernandez, Tacho, said, I must say that I don't think I will be in the news in the future because we do not foresee in the dicastery topics that can be very controversial, like the last ones. So he doesn't think he's going to be in the news. In other words, Francis's incrementalism is pre-planned. That's how I would put this. Francis makes a big splash with his material heresies. Fiducia supplicans did it, right? Changed the teaching on, the 2,000-year-old teaching on who can be blessed. Changed the 2-year-old teaching from March of 2021, which reaffirmed SS couples cannot be blessed, and reverse it. And then lay low a while. So there's a story coming out of Catholic World Report that there is a document in the offing condemning as demonic or something like this gender ideology. That's how they work. They're going to say, oh, look how orthodox we are. They might also publish a document saying there are 3 persons in the Holy Trinity. They might also say, with some forthcoming document, that Christ is one person with 2 natures. They might also say that there are 3 Western religions, 3 Abrahamic faiths. That
sometimes the mafia has to pour some concrete.
Yeah, sometimes the mafia's got to pour some concrete, Steph says. Like, because, in other words, right, they're not legitimate businessmen, the mafia. We're talking about the St. Gallen mafia more directly. But in the analogy, sometimes the actual mafia, who claims to have these front businesses, usually it's developers or something like that, sanitation. Sometimes to keep the front going, they have to actually go and do their fake job, pour some concrete. Now, Francis and Tacho et al., the whole band of perverts, are here. It's not a doubt. It's not a question. They're here in the Vatican to do a job. It was a job that was originally supposed to be done by one Carlo Maria Martini, who is going to be Pope Francis I. He got Parkinson's, like his hated bête noire, John Paul II. I've done shows on that in the last 2 weeks. Go see them if you didn't hear that one or catch that one. And Francis is here to do that job. I mean, Bergoglio was here as Francis I to do the job that Martini was going to do. And it's just really, really clear if you know the history of the St. Gallen Mafia. So, yes, to come back to the allegedly forthcoming PDF in the offing, well, I'm not sure what kind of magisterial doc it'll be, affirming gender ideologies from the devil. They know this does no damage to be orthodox on gender ideology. It does no damage to their cause, their revolutionary cause. It's a psyop. So they're just pouring some concrete. And the Pope splainers will all go, they're so orthodox. Yeah, on that. Karl Marx was orthodox on stuff. We're going to talk about Marx today, actually. Francis reaffirmed that Marxists have the same goals that Catholics do. And that's going to be what we close the show with today. Do Marxists have the same goals as Catholics? Well, they can't. It's actually a condemned ideology in the church. Socialism and Marxism. It was condemned by like 10 popes in the 20th century. To say it shares a telos with Catholicism is erroneous. But the point is, even a broken clock's right twice a day. And so Francis knows to do this. He makes a big splash, and then he'll say something orthodox. And whoever it is in the United States that he's emplaced or implanted or is maybe privately incentivizing, or maybe it's just a bad coincidence, chirping about Francis's goodnesses, extolling them everywhere. The many goodnesses of the Francis pontificate. Can you believe there are still people like this? He goes to them, he kind of activates them, the Pope splainers, and it'll get the revolutionary push like Fiducia Supplicans, women deacons has been mentioned in Catholic news in the last 2 weeks, very pro-body, ending priestly celibacy for Latin Rite churches has been mentioned in the last 2 weeks. All that will be, you got your first down, you pushed the ball upfield, and then you made all the plebes out there forget about it. That's what he does well. So that, look for that forthcoming document and look for the idiotic response by all the Pope-splainers.